Picture this. You're walking down the street, minding your own business, when suddenly you see it. Someone is walking a golden retriever puppy. It is impossibly small. It's got those giant, clumsy paws, big floppy ears, and big, innocent eyes looking up at you. You stop in your tracks. A massive wave of emotion hits you. But notice what happens to your body in that exact moment. You don't just smile. You grit your teeth. You physically clench your hands into fists. Your shoulders tense up. And then, out of your mouth comes one of the most bizarre phrases in the human language. You say something like, "Oh my God, it's so cute, I just want to squeeze it to death." Or, "It's so cute, I could just crush it." Or even, "I want to eat you up." We've all done it. We've all looked at a chubby-cheeked human baby or a tiny kitten and felt an intense, sudden urge to physically squish it. But if you actually stop and think about it for even 10 seconds, that is absolutely terrifying. Why does extreme cuteness trigger sudden, violent urges? You love this puppy. You want to protect this baby. So why is your brain suddenly suggesting that you inflict physical harm on it? To understand how weird this is, we have to look at how the human brain usually processes the world. From an evolutionary standpoint, our brains are divided into very strict departments. There is the threat detection department. When you see a bear, a snake, or an enemy, your brain pumps you full of adrenaline, cortisol, and aggression. Your teeth clench, your fists ball up, and you prepare to fight or destroy. Then, there is the nurture department. When you see something delicate, precious, and young, your brain is supposed to pump you full of warm, gentle chemicals. You are supposed to feel protective, calm, and deeply loving. These two systems are completely opposite. They are never supposed to cross wires. If an alien came down to Earth and watched a mother looking affectionately at her newborn baby and whispering, "I just want to bite your little toes off," the alien would think humans are psychopathic monsters. It's a total biological paradox. You are experiencing the physical symptoms of rage and aggression, the clenched jaw, the tight fists, the violent vocabulary, while looking at the most harmless, lovable thing on the planet. But as it turns out, this isn't a glitch in your hardware. You aren't secretly a monster. Your brain is actually aggressively trying to save you from an emotional overdose. To figure out why this happens, we first have to understand what cuteness actually does to our neurochemistry. In the 1940s, an ethologist named Konrad Lorenz identified something called Kindchen schema, or baby schema. He discovered that all human babies share specific physical traits: disproportionately large heads, huge eyes sitting low on the face, chubby cheeks, and small noses. When your brain sees this specific geometry, it doesn't just think, "Oh, nice." It literally detonates a chemical bomb inside your head. Your brain floods your system with a massive, staggering hit of dopamine and oxytocin. It is a neurochemical explosion that is remarkably similar to what happens when someone takes a powerful narcotic, and your brain is literally getting high on cuteness. And while that feels amazing, from a purely biological standpoint, it is incredibly dangerous. When your brain is flooded with that much dopamine and oxytocin, you lose your grip on reality. You lose your motor skills. You lose your situational awareness. Your brain is essentially short-circuiting. You are experiencing an emotion that is so overwhelmingly strong, so powerfully pure that it completely incapacitates you. You enter what we might call a cute coma. Now, let's take that cute coma and travel back in time about 200,000 years, back to the Pleistocene era. Imagine you are an early human hunter-gatherer. You are living in a harsh, unforgiving wilderness where survival is a daily, brutal struggle. You are sitting by a fire and you look down at your newborn baby. If you get hit with that dopamine bomb and you are completely paralyzed by how adorable this baby is, what happens? You just sit there, you stare in awe, you melt into a puddle of warm, fuzzy feelings. But out in the wild, paralyzing awe is a death sentence. A baby doesn't just need you to look at it and feel overwhelming love. A baby needs you to act. It needs you to gather food. It needs you to build a shelter. And most importantly, it needs you to hold a spear and fend off the saber-toothed cats, wolves, and rival tribes that are lurking just beyond the firelight. If early humans were entirely incapacitated by the overwhelming love they felt for their offspring, the human race would have gone extinct. Evolution had to design a failsafe. It needed a circuit breaker. It needed a way to snap you out of the trance, sober you up, and get you back to work. Enter a psychological phenomenon known as dimorphous expression. This concept was heavily researched by psychologists at Yale University, and it completely changes how we understand human emotions. Dimorphous expression happens when an emotion hits a physiological limit. Think of your emotional capacity like a thermometer. When your feelings of love and adoration for that puppy or baby skyrocket, the mercury in that thermometer goes up, up, up until it hits the absolute maximum. The glass is about to shatter. Your brain realizes, warning, we are losing control. We cannot function like this. To stop the system from overheating, your brain doesn't just try to turn down the love. That wouldn't work fast enough. Instead, the brain reaches for the heaviest, most powerful anchor it has to drag you back down to a stable baseline. It pulls the lever for the exact opposite emotion. Your brain aggressively injects a microdose of anger, frustration, and aggression into your nervous system. It's like throwing a bucket of ice water onto a blazing fire. By combining two intensely opposing emotions, extreme, paralyzing love, and sudden, violent aggression, they cancel each other out. This is why you grit your teeth. This is why you ball your hands into fists. Your brain is manufacturing physical aggression to counteract the emotional paralysis of cuteness. And notice what happens immediately after you experience cute aggression. You don't actually hurt the puppy. You don't actually crush the baby. The aggression doesn't lead to violence, it leads to action. The moment you clench your fist and say, I just want to squeeze you, the trance is broken. The spell is lifted. You are no longer a passive, drooling puddle of awe. You are suddenly alert, active, and physically engaged. By filtering the overwhelming love through the physical mechanics of aggression, your brain regulates your nervous system. You go from being incapable of moving to actively reaching out, picking up the baby, bouncing it on your knee, and checking to see if it needs to be fed. Cute aggression isn't an urge to destroy. It is your brain violently shifting gears from feeling to doing. It is the ultimate evolutionary life hack to make sure that we don't just stare at our vulnerable babies, but actually take care of them. Once you understand Dimorphous expression, you start to see it everywhere. Cute aggression is just one flavor of this weird psychological balancing act. Have you ever watched someone win $1 million on a game show? They don't just smile and laugh, they collapse to the floor and sob uncontrollably. Biologically, crying is the body's response to grief, pain, and sadness. But when joy reaches a level that the brain cannot process, it throws a sadness switch to bring the winner back down to reality. Happy tears are just cute aggression in reverse. Or think about the opposite, nervous laughter. Have you ever been in a deeply serious, terrifying, or somber situation, like a funeral or a moment of extreme stress, and you suddenly felt an uncontrollable urge to laugh? It's horrifying, and it feels deeply inappropriate. But you aren't a bad person. Your brain is just drowning in stress and fear, and it uses the physical mechanics of laughter to violently inject some levity into your system to prevent a total psychological breakdown. Even look at teenagers screaming in sheer terror and crying at a Taylor Swift concert. The excitement is so high, the brain literally triggers a panic attack just to balance the scales. The human brain is not a neat, organized computer. It is a messy, chaotic, deeply complicated survival machine that has been cobbled together over millions of years of evolution. And sometimes, its solutions or problems are incredibly weird. It uses tears to process extreme joy, it uses laughter to process extreme terror, and it uses the intense, violent urge to crush things to make sure we survive the overwhelming beauty of a newborn baby. So the next time you see a tiny kitten or a fluffy puppy, and you feel that sudden, tense, teeth-gritting urge to just squish it, don't panic. You aren't a secret psychopath. You aren't a monster. You are just experiencing the brilliance of millions of years of evolutionary programming working exactly as it was intended. Your brain is just making sure you remember to put the puppy down and actually feed it.